In this presentation, we will continue on to part 20 of our C Corporation comprehensive problem, this time considering officer compensation, breaking out officer compensation from the other wages and also entering the data entry or the information related to the officers. Here we are in form 1120. As we entered the data into our form 1120, when we got to the salaries and wages, it's often the case that it may not be the case that it's been broken out between, the breakout that we need, such as the officer salaries versus the rest of the salaries. It might be broken out in different ways depending on the type of organization or company you're looking at. It might be broken out by region or by admin versus sales or something like that. But in any case, we need it broken out, of course, with the officers. So we need to gather that information. So when we entered this data into the tax return, we put the full wages in here, knowing that we would have to go back and break out the officer compensation when we gather that information in line 20. So that's what we will do now. Let's go back to the Excel worksheet where we had the wages on the income statement. There's the 1,100,000. So now we're going to have the detail. We're going to go to the left and we're going to go down to our information. And we're going to say that we have these two officers, Eric Jones, who's the chief executive officer and the president, and Tom, who is the vice president. So we're going to enter that information into our system. This is their wages. So these wages are part of the total wages that has been included in this line. We're going to break out those wages up top to line 12 from line 13. But first, we need to enter the officer information. So I'm going to go into the officer information screen where we're going to enter this. And then we, of course, need the officer name. So I'm going to go back over here and see if I can just copy and paste the old name. So we're going to say copy and paste. And then we're going to need the street address. So we'll go ahead and put in a street address for them. This is obviously a fake address. It's going to be houses for sale again in Beverly Hills, 90210. And this one's only almost 2 million. Not too bad here. We got, then the city's going to be Beverly Hills, California. We're going to say 90210. All right. And I'm just going to put the 9s in for the social security number. Time devoted to business. I'm going to put 100%. Percentage of stock owned. I'm going to put that at 5%. Preferred stock owned. We're going to say it doesn't own any preferred stock. And constructive ownership we'll put at the 5%. Then we're going to be adding, we also need the title here. So we'll add the title. We're going to say this is going to be the president and CEO. So there we have that. Now let's add the second officer. We're going to say second officer is Tom. So we're going to say Tom Anderson. Another address is going to be 9790 Wendover Drive, Beverly Hills, California, 90210. And Social Security, we're going to go with the 9s on the Social Security. The officer title here we said was Vice President. So we're going to go with the Vice President. Percentage of time, 100%. We're going to say percentage of stock, 5% and 5%. So now we have that information. Once we have the officers in place, I can go to the forms. There's not going to be changing in the numbers. No numbers will change here, but now I can go to the officer compensation. So let's go to the officer compensation and jump to the officer compensation information. So I'm going to go to the officer salaries and say we want the salaries here. And this is actually our data input screen. Let's go down to the salaries and officers. This is going to be the compensation of officers. This should jump us there. So there's going to be our officer compensation screen. All right. So now we're going to go and say that Eric has the 225,000. So 225,000. And then we have 190 for Tom Anderson. So 190,000 for Tom. Now then we're going to go to the forms up top. And now we have the total there, the 415. That should be the sum of these two, 415. That makes sense. All right, that looks good. Does that throw us out of balance? I would think it would, because we need to take it out of the other side now. And so we're out of balance now. So I'm going to go back up to page 1 Now we got to remove from the 1,100,000 the amount that is now up here in the 415. So I'm going to jump to this screen now. See if we can jump there. And we're going to go to the salaries and wages. We're going to say there's the 1,000,001, and we're going to take it down by, I forgot the number again. 415,000. So it's going to be negative 415,000. So there's kind of our journal entry. And we could even label it if we want. This is the officer compensation. Hopefully I'm not spelling things too horribly. Then we're going to go back up to the forms. And so that goes down to there. Let's check that out in our page 6. And we could say, all right, we're back in balance here. So that looks good. Now, when you go to the Excel worksheet, note that you could consider this, a tax entry. I mean, in other words, you could say, well, I need to break this out to officer compensation. But, or you can just kind of put it in the notes, but maybe you don't need as much detail there. So or you could put a note here if you don't want to break out and add another account called officer compensation. You could also think of it as an adjusting journal entry. You might prefer to have it over here in the adjusting journal entry rather than have a tax difference, or you can record a tax difference just breaking out between those two. You could put a note on the side, or you could put a note up top. That might be what a good way to go. Could put a note here and say that we want a note and say officer compensation is what did we say it was again? It's going to be up top. The 415,000. And you also might want to put it might even be better to put it somewhere over here, just in your notes in the journal entry. Don't even need a journal entry, just say, a note. Officer compensation was 415. And so you could just kind of tag that out because it might be easier to read in this point. So then if we go back down and just double check our numbers down below, let's double check our income numbers and make sure everything is looking like it should there. We got the 1674629. That shouldn't have changed. 1674629 looks good. We have the 1669129. So then we have the 1669129. Let's go to page 6 then and take a look at the M1s where we have the book amount of the 1461500. 1461500, and then the tax amount of the 1674629, and that's going to be the 1674629. So everything looks good going forward. One more note we should point out with the officer compensation. If you go back into the tax return and we look at the 1125E now, that's going to be our compensation of officer. We have the compensation, we have Eric Jones, social security number information, the percent of time, and we have our percentage that we put into the data input screen and the amount of compensation. And of course, if we add up the compensation, total compensation, the 415, that then pulls forward to the first page of the 1120. The 1120 here where we have that 415 for the officers.